we got a $436 payout, $436.19 payout. So that's about $1.09 per share. We have about 400 shares. So what's going on, YouTube? It's Ono from Tapped In with Ono, and as you guys can see, we got the Blue Yeti back up. When I tell you guys, I do not like this microphone. Reason being because it just picks up everything going on in my background, and I just don't like that. I can't use the little mic because I'm missing a little piece to it. Can't necessarily find it, but hopefully we find it at some point. So let's talk about the portfolio, man. Like, I mean, it's been an interesting week, as I said in the last video. Very interesting week, but I think this is a good week and a good way to explain and display the ebbs and flows of my portfolio. I'll show you guys exactly how my portfolio moves, as there's going to be times where my portfolio jumps up a significant amount, and then there's going to be some weeks where it just dips down. But yeah, this is pretty much the strategy within my portfolio. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the laptop version of the app, do our weekly $1,000 deposit, and then switch over to the mobile version of the app, and we'll go from there. So stay tapped in. Alright, so as you guys can see, the individual investing account is sitting at $70,185.82. We're currently up, well, never mind, that changed. We're down $6.02 on the day. As you guys can know, there's not too much movement in the portfolio right now, as it is the weekend. So the only thing moving or trading right now is crypto. But let's check the performance on the week. Yeah, as I said, it's an interesting week. So we're down $2,544.24. Well, that just keeps changing. But yeah, we're down a decent amount. Let's see how we're doing on the month. Okay, we're about $889.54 on the month, about 14.5%. It's pretty good. Our buying power increased, and the reason being, if you guys didn't watch our last video where we talked about Tesla option plays, you guys can see some of the plays right here. Some of those positions got filled, some of them didn't, but they did credit us, give us some credits from the premiums, so that did help out a little bit with the margin. Our margin did increase, however, because of those assignments from MSTU, and you guys can see that right here. We have about 200 shares right here. We're going to dive into it when we get into the mobile version of the app, but yeah, that's just giving you a little bit of explanation. So our margin total is at $43,426.27, and our margin use is at $34,248. And then we have a options collateral of $5,000 being used. Our margin buffer is $6,613.76, and we have about $2,000 to trade within future contracts. So let's go ahead and make our deposits. Let's make our deposit. All right, $1,000 just once. Review, transfer, continue with the standard. And it should give us the extra gold points for making this deposit, probably about an extra $1,000. Yeah, 1,000 entries. Yep. So it gives you about every entry every time you deposit. So we have about 213 total entries now. Hopefully we get some gold. I ain't gonna be mad if we get some gold. That'd be coming clutch. So let's see what the total account is sitting at now. All right, we're now sitting at $71,140.82. Buying power increased by $2,000. As you guys know, every time I deposit $1,000 into this account, Robinhood allows me to borrow $2,000 of their money. So we're sitting at $6,178 of buying power. Margin total increased by $1,000, so it's at $44,000. Is it $1,000 or was it $2,000? Probably. I'm not too sure, but it's sitting at $44,426.27. Margin used decreased, went down from 34 to 33, 248.27, and option collateral is the same, and our future buying power went up by about $1,000. So let's go ahead and get into the mobile version of the app. So stay tapped in with me. I'm gonna switch over to the mobile version. All right, so we're in the mobile version of the app. We're sitting at 71,136. Well, it keeps changing. We'll get past that. So yeah, as I reviewed in the last video, we made some option plays. As I said, some of these positions got filled, some of them don't. So you guys can see I got 10 after contracts on that $13 call. So that, which means about 14 of those calls did not get assigned, or they didn't get executed. So we're going to be placing some more calls. And we did take oh, and then we also rolled this position. So I mentioned that in the previous video. And our buy calls on TSLL for the $12.5 strike price, that's still active. So all of that stuff is going to be expiring this week. It's going to be a little bit shorter of a week because Labor Day, Monday is going to be closed market day, so there's going to be no trades being made and everything like that. But so because of the sell-off in the market, I did take advantage, as I always do. I take advantage of any red days or any sell-off days, crashes, things of that nature. I take full advantage and make sure I buy back in, even if I have to do it on margin, because I know I'm going to get it back 10 times better when the markets do recover. So we do have now 2,300 shares of TSLL. As I mentioned that we did place a $12.5 put on TSLL, and that put ended up getting assigned. So we're now at 2,300 shares of TSLL, currently down $136. As you guys, this was previously up a decent bit, but I'm kind of glad that it dropped on the last day, so I can collect more options premium. And I do have some more contracts that I do have to place, but yeah, we're down, you know, a little bit, and our average cost went down by 0.01. So it's in at 1271 now. I think it was previously at 12.72. And so that's pretty much it. So see, this is the call, the put assignment of $1,200 one contract, which was about 100 shares. And then we got well, I don't know what that is, but all right. So MSTU, this is a new thing added to the portfolio, a new ETF added to the portfolio because of the assignment. We had a $5.5 put that we placed and ended up getting assigned because this fell below that strike price. MSTU is pretty much a leverage ETF that tracks MSTR. MSTR tracks the movement of Bitcoin. Yeah, MSTR tracks the movement of Bitcoin. And yeah, so we got about 200 shares, market value of $1,000. We're up $17, which is a little bit weird because it's saying our average cost is at 5.20, but we purchased these shares at the $5.5 strike price. So I'm not too sure why it gave us that average cost or purchased it for lower. I'm not too sure. I honestly cannot tell you. See, it's saying the assignment is signed is at 5.27, 2 contracts. I'm not too sure what that was about. But let's see, how much did we make off the contract? So we initially made $30 and then we rolled it for $40, which ate into a little bit of our profits, which is completely fine. But we have these assignments now. If the market does go green this week, we're obviously going to be selling cover calls on this, probably at that $5.5 strike price. We'll see how the markets open up on Tuesday morning, see how it moves. If it does end up going green, we're definitely going to be selling calls at that $6 price. If it opens up red, I'll probably go back and sell it at that $5.5 strike price and get some premium. So TSLY, we are going to be receiving dividends for it this coming week. So, and it's been performing really good. We're up $47 on this. I have about 400 shares. I'm not last time. Let's see how much they paid us about last time. Last time they paid us about 30 cents per share, so I'm expecting a decent increase, and we only had about 350 shares at that time. So now we're at 400 shares, so we'll see what that dividend is looking like. We did get some dividends. We got paid out from Misty. Misty is, I don't know, man. Misty been doing it. It's been struggling a little bit. As you guys can see, it's gap down. That's a crazy gap down. Mainly in part due to the dividend announcement or the ex-dividend date. After the ex-dividend date and they make the announcement, these funds usually drop in price by as much as however they are dishing out or distributing in their dividends. So and this is a YieldMax fund that tracks MSTR. Once again, MSTR tracks the movement of Bitcoin in stock form pretty much. So we're down about $1,842.25. Our average cost is at $20. So that's a $5 difference on the actual cost of it right now. We have 400 shares. Let's see what the payout was. We got a $436 payout, $436.90 payout. So that's about $1.09 per share. We have about 400 shares. So that covers MSTY. Pretty decent payout. We've seen better. Let's see, like in the past, see how much they paid us in the past. $1.18, which was slightly bit more. Let's see how much this is. $1.24. So you guys get the gist of it. It's gonna be paying about $1 on a monthly basis. ULTY, which is our weekly payer, weekly YieldMax payer. We have about 1,100 shares. Down about $500, $544.55 to be exact. Let's see how much they paid us this week. Okay, they paid us $104.44. Now they did decrease the amount that they paid out in dividends. They dropped below that 10 cents, which is a little scary for some investors in ULTY, but it's something that they had to do if we want to keep the NAV under control. So we got a $104 payout, as I mentioned. Let's in that 1,100 shares. It's a good call that I went for the 1,100 shares instead of 1,000 shares, so I keep above that $100 on a weekly basis from ULTY, and that's the goal. Last week they paid us about 10 cents, and we got a $110 payout. So yeah, that's how that went for ULTY. Let's see what else we got. YieldMax. Let's see how much they paid us. YieldMax is sitting at 12.71, which is close to my average cost, a little bit down. As I mentioned, this is a great buying opportunity when the market dips like this. If you guys want to get introduced to these YieldMax funds, these are perfect times. These YieldMax funds are going to perform based on the time that you get in. The time, whatever time that you get in, is going to reflect your how good of a performance they're going to do in your portfolio. So let's see the dividend payout from it. We got a $13.86 dividend payout from it, which is about 13.72 cents per share. And we have 101 shares. I do not increase my position on YieldMax. I just like to collect the weekly dividends, and I invest into other ETFs. But it's a great starter YieldMax fund if you guys are looking into one of these to just start out on. Coney, we're still down. We probably got to wait about 2 more weeks, because I think 2 weeks ago we got our payout. We're down about $516, struggling a little bit. As you guys know, Coinbase moves with the cryptocurrency, so that's just how it's gonna do. And crypto is a little bit down right now. Bitcoin is struggling. Ethereum's still holding strong and doing what it does, but Bitcoin is struggling right now. It's lagging behind. Let's go. All right, Hui. We got our first dividend payout from it last week. We're down $129. Average cost is at 66.54. But I'm confident in this because, as I said, Robinhood is having a summit this month, or well, September, the beginning of September. So I'm expecting some decent announcements and a nice push up. So even if we do have a little bit decline or sell off in the market, after we get the decision from whether we're going to cut rates or not, when the market finally recovers, this stock or ETF I feel like is going to do or perform really well. So PLTW, we are expecting a payout on Tuesday, which is the start to the week. We're currently down $123.91, and we're currently at 50 shares now. I've been increasing my position on this. This is another weekly payer that tracks the movement of pounds here, and y'all sleeping on these round hill ETFs. I personally feel like this is the best round hill ETF that you could get into. I haven't really got into too much of the other round hill ETF, but I think PLTW is definitely the best one that you can get into, and it pretty much tracks the movement of Palantir to a T while paying you dividends. That's why I buy into it. Or yeah, so last week we got our payout of $21.13. And we have dividend reinvestment drip on for this one specifically. So yeah, that pretty much covers the YieldMax and round hill ETFs in the portfolio. that's pretty much it. Let's get into the traditional IRA. We had placed a cover call on this. We still have a little bit cash. I think I'm gonna dump that into Tech L and just keep selling the cover calls on this and make the cover calls. We're down about $800 and our average cost is at 14.97. So I'll probably sell a cover call for it. I'll display it for you guys real quick. We have about 300 shares, so which is about 3 contracts. So I'll show you guys real quick what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be looking to sell at the $14.5 strike price, which is a little bit below my average cost at the $15, so I can collect a little bit more in premium, because I don't think Tesla or TSLL per se is going to pump up to the $15 within 1 week. It probably take about 2-3 weeks to get there, but it did have signs. It did get to nearly that $13.5, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see, where did it get to? A peak of 13.42. So that's awfully close to that $13.5 strike price. And next week, like I said, if the markets go green, and once we do get that information on whether the Fed is going to cut rates, this stock or this ETF will do and perform really well. It's due for a nice pump. So yeah, that covers the traditional IRA. A Roth IRA, as you guys know, we just crossed over that $33,000 mark about 2 weeks ago, and it's performing pretty well. Investments is looking pretty good. You guys know I invest $8.40 into JEPQ and SCHD on a daily basis, and I buy $6 of SCHD on a weekly basis. Now, I will say this: I am considering changing up my allocations, and might have to swap something out, but that might be a separate video. I'm not going to get into that too much, but as a whole though, the Roth IRA is doing what it does, holding a stable position. This is all automated, and I do plan to max this out by the end of the year. So let's go ahead and get into the overall account, see what that's sitting at now. All right, 77,000. Okay, no, we're at $78,514.90. So a little bit of a dip right after we hit our milestone. You guys know last week we hit our $80,000 milestone. For the first time, we seen $80,000 in this account, which is crazy because 2 weeks prior to that, we just cracked the $70,000 mark. So we're pretty established within the $70,000 mark, and we just cracked the 80K mark. But because of the market sell-off last week, we're a little bit below, but that just means once the market does recover, we're gonna have a nice settle position within the $80,000 mark. So I'm excited to see it. I'm really excited to show you guys, and yeah, like that's pretty much it. You guys, this just speaks volume to how my portfolio moves. There's gonna be weeks where we're booming like a lot. We could probably gain up $5,000 in a week, and sometimes some weeks we might be down $2,000-$3,000. My portfolio is extremely volatile, in part due to crypto and the options trades that I place on TSLL, which tracks Tesla. I'm okay with that because I can absorb the hit, and I can manage my portfolios. I trade these things. I look at the market every day, so I'm very active within my portfolio, watching my positions. I'm managing my margin pretty well. You guys know I have about $28,000 to $29,000 within one trade. So probably in about 3 weeks after we get our TSLL shares called away, we can clear up all that margin if we don't see any buying opportunities. If the markets do go green, I'm going to be staying a lot more cash heavy to make sure I protect myself, because there's always going to be a dip following right after a market boom, or just a uptick in the market. So I'll be waiting for those buying opportunities, and that's why I turn off drip on my dividend funds, so I can buy in when I want to. Now that doesn't say, or that's not to say you shouldn't be dollar cost averaging at all times. Your strategy might be different, but I dollar cost average down when, and I dollar cost average heavy when the market dips. So that's just me. So yeah, if you guys felt like this was useful or helpful in any way, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, turn on your post bell notifications. If you want to get into direct contact with me, go ahead and follow me on Instagram, hit me up on Instagram. And if you want to talk to like-minded individuals like myself, or you just want to get some insight into the option plays that I have throughout the week, go ahead and join up on the Discord. That is free to join. All of those things are in the link in the description below. But yeah, without further ado, it's Tapped in 1-0, and I'm signing out.